Baldurs Gate has been out for a few days now and I have just completed Act 2 of the game. When I say that this is one of my favourite games of all time, I mean it. This game is huge, polished and so hard to stop playing. If you're a fan of D&D, you will love this to pieces. If you are new to D&D or have just never had an interest, this is one of the best RPGs to ever come out. I will try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, and obviously these aren't my final thoughts on the game as I have not finished it yet, but I can already tell you that Baldurs Gate 3 is a masterpiece. So let me start this off by saying I am a DM for a campaign in real life for my friends, and this game finally gives me the chance to be the player. The first step was to make my character, and I had to think long and hard about this one. I knew that I would be with this person for tens, if not hundreds of hours. Eventually I decided on Sorcerer and made him your bog standard human. Of course I came up with a backstory for him in my head, chose the skills that suited that story best, named him Cornelius, and began my adventure into one of the biggest RPGs. Oh, but of course I noticed the number of pre-made origin characters that I could choose from, already telling me I had so much replayability just from picking each of these to play in separate playthroughs. Now obviously I played a lot of this game in early access, but I was delighted to see that changes had already been made to the layout of the intro area as well as a few other things as you progress through Act 1. This made my experience much more enjoyable and refreshing. Combat is fun and balanced and is actually a great tutorial for those that don't exactly know how D&D combat works. The story instantly gripped me and I wanted to uncover every secret, mystery and forge my own path into this grand campaign that Larian had created. Of course I got distracted by all the possibilities for side quests and finding companions, exploring dungeons that I stumbled upon, conversing with NPCs to get myself out of trouble and finding every goddamn piece of equipment and treasure I could get my hands on. Baldurs Gate 3 has everything, and I mean everything. There are so many different ways to go about playing this game, it's ridiculous. Every dialogue option opens a new path, every combat encounter can change the course of your party's journey, and you can so easily miss major and minor things in the game. I genuinely forgot about one of the companions you could pick up until Act 2, when you are meant to find them within the first few hours of the game. That's when I knew I was going to have to do many more playthroughs to see every path and choice I missed. I was already planning my next character, how I would play them, what class they would be, and that's when it hit me. This game is a masterpiece, the perfect definition for FOMO, and will give me hundreds of hours of content, not only for myself, but my friends who I planned on doing a playthrough with as well. I'm someone that created their own world for their home D&D campaign, which means the world of Faerun and its deep lore was mostly fresh to me. That just made this game way more fun, as I love world building. I love finding out all there is to know about a world, and Larian have stacked this game with so much information on the world of Faerun. I could probably dedicate hours just to reading all the lore within the game. And then there's the dice rolls. Guys, I'm not kidding. The amount of inspiration points I constantly saved for those really important rolls is ridiculous. These rolls alone are another reason to begin many playthroughs, because there are rolls that I have failed and never found out what I wanted to know, or convinced characters to share their deepest secrets with me. And now I've already said that the story is superb. It has gripped me, it has got me entranced, but a lot of that comes from the voice acting alone in this game. They've got some pretty big names to voice characters in this. You have Jason Isaacs, you have J. Jonah Jameson himself, J.K. Simmons. Yes, I know that's not his biggest role, but it's a joke. You have Matthew Mercer, and you even have Cone Carnage, who voices a character in this, what the hell? Needless to say, the cast of this game is huge. The amount of dialogue in this game is ridiculous. Hours upon hours upon hours of dialogue, conversing with your companions, conversing with different NPCs around the world, conversing with the goddamn animals if you have speak with animals, or even the dead if you have speak with the dead. Look guys, the dialogue is nuts, okay? There's so much of it here, and there's just so much to deep dive into. Some of the side quests are so interesting. There are a couple side quests in Act 2 that made me go, wow, okay, they really upped the ante for this one. Obviously, Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 are fantastic games. They are huge. They are just like this, where it's one of the best RPGs ever. But Larian really upped their game for Baldurs Gate 3. Maybe some of that is because of the D&D IP. Maybe it's just because they knew that they had to top what was already a pretty goddamn masterpiece of a game with Divinity Original Sin 2. And after 6 long years of waiting since its first announcement, I can finally say that Baldurs Gate 3 is one of the best games of all time, in my humble opinion. If you are a fan of fantasy, D&D, RPGs, or just an incredibly beautiful, polished, and well-balanced gaming experience, I cannot recommend this game enough. Even though I am far from finishing it, and even further from knowing everything there is to know about Baldur's Gate 3, it is already one of my favorite games of all time. It is definitely in my top 5 games. Where on that list is it? Well, I guess I'll have to finish the game to find out. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave it a like. Comment down below how you're finding Baldur's Gate 3 so far. Subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 and gaming content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.